Generation 7 is coming to Pokemon Go. In this video, we're going to get into the 10 biggest Pokemon in terms of CP that are coming to the game. All of these numbers are subject to change, but that's not to say that these numbers are going to be off. These are going to be relatively close, if not exactly what we're going to get when these Pokemon drop. Coming in at number 10, we have the legendary Pokemon Tapu Lele. Tapu Lele is a Psychic and Fairy type Pokemon. It maxes out at 3950 CP. It's got an attack of 259 and it's got a defense of 208, so a pretty well-balanced Pokemon. For that being the 10th biggest Pokemon in the generation, that's going to show you just how crazy this gen could be, with it sitting again at 3950 CP. It is going to be vulnerable to Ghost, Poison, and Steel type moves, so not many weaknesses, and this is gonna be good. Coming in at number 9, we got our buddy, the mythical Pokemon, Melmetal. Melmetal is available in Pokemon Go right now. It's been available for about 2 or 3 years now. It's a Steel type Pokemon. Its max CP is 4069. It's got an attack stat of 226, a defense of 190, and a stamina of 264. So a beefy guy, but can deal damage. Melmetal is a great Pokemon with a pretty interesting moveset. It's a Steel type Pokemon, so it's vulnerable to fighting, fire, and ground types, but its moveset is kind of crazy. Here are Melmetal's best movesets in terms of DPS. You got Thunder Shock and Hyper Beam. Now, Hyper Beam is not the most useful move, plus you don't even get stabbed from it, so maybe you go with Thunderbolt, Superpower, Flash Cannon, or Rock Slide. That was ranked in DPS, and if you want to rank it in total damage output, it's still going to be the same order. The 8th biggest Pokemon in Generation 7 coming to Pokemon Go is the Steel and Fairy type mythical Pokemon, Magearna. Magearna is going to max out at 4087. It's got an attack stat of 246, a defense stat of 225, and an HP of 190. Magearna is going to be vulnerable to fire and ground type moves. We don't have a projected move set on it just yet, but I could assume this is going to be one of the better Steel/Fairy type Pokemon. The 7th biggest Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go is Kartana, which is the legendary Pokemon. It is a Grass and Steel legendary, and Kartana has the 3rd highest projected attack stat of all of the Gen 7 Pokemon. So it maxes out at 4156 CP. Its attack stat is 323 with a defense of 182, so definitely a powerful Pokemon. The defense stat isn't super high and the HP is pretty low, sitting at 139, so this may be a glass cannon, but boy is it going to deal some damage. It's going to be vulnerable to fighting types and double vulnerable to fire types. We don't have a projected moveset on it just yet, but I will say that, you know, this is going to be a problem. This is going to be good. The 6th biggest Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go is Necrozma. Now, Necrozma's got a couple forms, and you're going to see him a few freaking times in this top 10. The normal form of this legendary Pokemon maxes out at 4163 with an attack of 251, a defense of 195, and a stamina of 219. A pretty well-balanced legendary. It's a pure Psychic type, so it's going to be vulnerable to Bug, Dark, and Ghost type moves. We do not have a projected moveset, but I will say this guy should be pretty solid. The next biggest Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go is Marshadow, a fan favorite, a fighting and ghost type mythical Pokemon with a max CP of 4217. Its attack stat is sitting at 265, a defense of 190, and a stamina at 207. This is incredibly large for a fighting type. This might be our best non-mega, non-shadow fighting type in the game. Don't quote me on that, but this is looking to be pretty good. It's going to be vulnerable to Fairy, Flying, Ghost, and Psychic type Pokemon, and that's some pretty good attack and some really good CP for a fighting type in the game. Also, again, depending on the moveset, could be one of the best ghost types. We'll see, but Marshadow looks pretty OP, even though it doesn't look OP, you know what I mean? Like, the stats are good, but it doesn't really look that crazy. The next biggest Pokemon is one of my favorites from Generation 7, the legendary Pokemon Xurkitree. Xurkitree is a pure electric type Pokemon with a max CP of 4451. Its attack stat is the 2nd biggest projected attack stat in the entire generation, sitting at 333. It's got a pretty low defense of 144, but some good HP of 195. This might be somewhat of a glass cannon as well, but it does have some pretty good HP and a really good attack, so it's going to be good. And it's only vulnerable to ground type Pokemon, so Xurkitree looking to be pretty freaking awesome. The next biggest Pokemon is the legendary Pokemon Nihilego, or Nihilego, probably Lego. It's a rock and poison type legendary, so the most random typing of all time. It maxes out at 4465 CP. It's got an attack of 249, a defense of 210, and HP sitting at 200 240, which are all pretty good numbers. It's going to be vulnerable to Ground, Psychic, Steel, and Water-type Pokemon. We don't have a projected moveset on it, but it's got a really unique typing. It's got some pretty good stats. This guy might be a problem. The next biggest Pokemon on the list is a fan favorite as well. We have the legendary Pokemon Solgaleo, a Psychic and Steel type legendary, maxed out at 4570 CP. Its attack is super high, sitting at 255, a defense of 191, and a stamina of 264. So pretty tanky and pretty damage dealing. It's going to be weak to Dark, Fire, Ghost, and Ground type Pokemon. The next biggest Pokemon on the list is another fan favorite. There's some pretty good ones up here. Lunala. Lunala is a Psychic and Ghost type legendary Pokemon. Now I think out of this whole top 10, they've all been legendary or mythical. I think we kind of expected that, but wow. Lunala maxes out at 4570 CP. It's got an attack stat of 255, a defense of 191, and a stamina of 264. So numbers kind of similar to Solgaleo, but again, Psychic and Ghost type. It looks really cool too, so this guy's gonna be great. Lunala is going to be vulnerable to Dark and Ghost type moves for sure. It's got an interesting typing, and it looks awesome, so I can't wait for this guy to be in Pokemon Go. Now, this next Pokemon is the biggest Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go from Generation 7, but it's got 3 entries on this top 10. This next Pokemon is going to hold the top 3 biggest spots of the top 10. Necrozma, with its Dawn Wings. It gets the Ghost type ability, so it's now a Psychic and Ghost type Pokemon. It maxes out at 4634, an attack stat of 277, a defense stat of 220, and an HP of 200. So real good numbers. It's going to be vulnerable to Dark and Ghost type Pokemon, and safe to say, gonna be a problem. Coming in at number 2, you guessed it, it is Necrozma again, this time with the Dusk Mane. It is a Psychic and Steel type Pokemon, so it gains the Steel type. Its max CP is 4634, its attack is 277, and its defense is 220, and the HP is 200. Great stats all around. It's going to be vulnerable to Dark, Fire, Ghost, and Ground type moves, and it is safe to say, like I said 3 times already, going to be a problem. And the absolute biggest Pokemon from Generation 7 coming to Pokemon Go is Necrozma again, the Ultra Necrozma. It's going to be a Psychic and Dragon type. I love that typing, Psychic and Dragon type, and it maxes out at 5293, which as that stands right now would be the biggest Pokemon in the game, not counting Megas. 5293 with an attack stat of 337, which if you've been keeping up is going to be the biggest attack stat projected for Gen 7. The defense is 196 and the stamina is at 200, so this guy is going to lay the boom. But it does have a lot of weaknesses. It's going to be weak to Bug, Dark, Dragon, Fairy, Ghost, and Ice type Pokemon, but my gosh, close to 5300 max CP and close to 350 attack stats. Ultra Necrozma. Gosh, that's your top 10 plus, because Necrozma had like 50 slots. That's your top 10 plus biggest Pokemon coming to Pokemon Go from Generation 7. Let me know in the comments what you guys are looking forward to most, or what surprised you the most. I can't wait till some of these Pokemon come. Oh, that's gonna be crazy, dude.